Hello and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
We always used to say, or you used to say to me, you know you've made it when you make a Christmas episode. And here we are. We have decked the halls. So welcome to Writers Room Retcon. This is on the Screen Block channel. Hopefully you've watched a few of these by now, but if not, the whole point is we take a series, a franchise, and see what we can do with it in 1 hour in a garage.
So, whatever could be today's one, Michael?
I have no idea. I'm guessing it's probably Christmas themed. It's maybe a Superman Ho video. No, we are tackling this video, Die Hard, which
This is difficult.
I am very nervous about. So we've done, I think, fairly well so far. This one I have little confidence, but I'm hoping for a Christmas miracle.
Yeah, very good.
So God bless us, everyone.
Let's go to the table and see what we can do about this.
Okay.
All right. So,
Do this weird spin thing I do.
Yep.
So, Die Hard, baby.
Sort my cable out. Make sure we're all rolling. You guys with us? Hello. I'm gonna need a pen.
I got one here. You wanna? You got?
No, I don't want your pens. I want my very own pen. Thank you. Okay, Die Hard.
Die Hard.
This is gonna be difficult.
It is. So as usual, let's start off with where the franchise is currently at.
Have I got the dates here? I don't. So let's do them on the old blower.
Cool. So obviously, the first film is Die Hard, the film that made Bruce Willis's career, and I would argue reignited the action series of the 90s.
So we got Die Hard 1
Yep.
was 1988.
So it actually reinvented it in the 80s.
All right.
1900s at least.
So Die Hard 2
Yeah.
was 1990.
There you go. That's the one I meant.
What did that do?
That relived the 70s.
All right. Then we got Die Hard with a Vengeance. Should we just call it Die Hard 3 to save ourselves some blushes of spelling out vengeance?
Yeah, it was in
1995.
1995.
Then we got Die Hard 4, was quite a long way after that, was 2007.
Wow.
Is that right? Fuck.
Jesus.
And then we got A Good Day to Die Hard, so Die Hard 5, should we call it?
Yeah, Die
Yeah.
Hard 5.
Was 2013.
Right.
And that's it.
Right.
So I'm going to leave the phone here because we need to do the timer, obviously. Let's briefly talk through the franchise, where it is, what's going on with it, and that sort of stuff, how we feel about it. So let's start off with the obvious one, Die Hard. So like you said, it completely transformed action films of the 1800s. But seriously, like it was and is an incredible film, right?
Yeah, it's an absolute classic. And I think what Die Hard is quite a famous film series. It's become quite ingrained in popular culture. Recently, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, they talk about Die Hard all the time, like it's a well-known thing, like Nightmare on Elm Street, Scream. And to be honest with you, I think that was almost entirely achieved, and I think still is, through how good the original one was. The first major appearance of the late Alan Rickman in his Scream, I feel like it might have been his first role, you know?
Yeah.
And it also launched the career of Bruce Willis, who maybe in recent years has plateaued out due to health.
And before then, he was doing stuff like with moonlighting and things like that, TV stuff, but this was film
like
kind
100%, and it launched the career of two very big actors. It is, and I think still remains, an absolute classic.
And McTiernan, I never feel confident saying that guy's name, but John McTiernan, whatever.
McClane?
The director, absolutely too much Christmas punch.
Yeah,
he did such an amazing job with this film.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
It's incredible.
It is.
So then
brilliant.
we go on to Die Hard 2.
Yes. Now this is where we differ.
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest with you, I've seen most of the Die Hards quite a lot. The original, like most people, is a Christmas movie, hence why we're doing this at Christmas.
And you do think it is a Christmas movie?
100%, no question asked. What makes a Christmas film? a film set at Christmas where Christmas is a theme, that's a Christmas film. And so you have it set at Christmas. It's an office Christmas party.
Yeah.
Okay, the theme of Christmas might be a bit thin compared
And it
to
snows
others.
at the end, for Christ's sake.
It does. There's, they reference Santa throughout. It's definitely a Christmas movie.
Good.
So, but Die Hard 2, I haven't seen it that many times. I rewatched the second one not that long ago, as I said. I like the beginning of the film, and then I feel like it kind of loses it towards the end. I find myself, Die Hard, even though I've seen it God knows how many times, I'm like, oh, there's a great scene coming up. Oh, I am fixed on that TV.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Where the Die Hard 2, for me, after the first hour, I'm kind of distracted. It's hard to get into it as much.
Yeah, I hear you. I think the stuff which I like about it is more kind of like, it's more sort of fun and stupid and disposable in a sort of way. So I like the icicle in the eye. I like the flight on the wing of the aeroplane.
It's not a bad film. I think it's just...
I like the snowmobile chases and stuff.
I just feel, for me, films where the original was so good, like we talked about it in our previous video, do check out Avatar, like James Cameron, good old Jim, is great at making sequels.
You're still on first name terms with me, even after our rewrite.
Yeah. And I just feel that given how amazing Die Hard was, I just think it personally is a bit of a poor sequel.
It is. This is very much like a film of its time, where this is timeless, I think it's fair to say.
Agreed.
So that Die Hard 3...
I actually like a lot. And I would argue that after Die Hard, it's my second favourite.
Same director.
And there you go. I like the premise of Die Hard 3.
I'm doubting myself. Have you got 3 here? You do.
I got right there, yeah. The director is...
I'm sure it's McTiernan.
Not for individual sale.
He's my favourite. Right, fine. So if you keep talking to us about what your thoughts are of Die Hard 3, and I'll double check this.
Yeah, so I love Die Hard 3. The thing with Die Hard 2 is it felt like, oh, it's the same guy in another difficult situation. And although they reference a few things and they talk about, oh, you had your moment of fame, you could change out John McClane and it would still be another film. Where the Die Hard 3 feels like a very good sequel. One of the things, and we'll talk into it, that I feel was missing in the second one is the sidekick character, who obviously in the first one was his friend that he had on the phone. And then in the third one, he has Samuel L. Jackson, who's great. Zeus, I think the name is, That them together is great. And also they
have got brilliant chemistry.
They really do. Yeah. And the fact that the villain is connected, he's still like as charismatic and everything else, which is something I'll talk about in a moment. I really enjoy 3. I think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Weirdly, it doesn't have the same pace as the first one. It's not as good still as the first one.
Well, it starts off amazingly high pace and then just kind of eases off.
Plateaus out, yeah.
Which is fair. It couldn't keep that pace up.
No. But I do really enjoy it.
Yeah, it's cool.
Your thoughts?
This is the first 15 I legitimately saw in a cinema. And so I love it. It's great. But I also just love it because it is a great movie. It does get a bit baggy towards the end. But it's cool. It's a great movie. So Die Hard 4.
Right here.
Long time later, actually. I didn't realise it was like...
I knew it was a while. Years. I mean, you can see it visually in like how, how he changes there. I don't know if you can see on the camera.
Yeah, you've got it on the overhead.
It's a nice kind of like... See, Die Hard 4 for me came out... I was at university. I'm a big Kevin Smith fan, or I was back then. So Kevin Smith's cameo is great. I love Justin Long as an actor. I think he was funny, especially back then. He's in it. I have told you often, my man crush is Timothy Olyphant. He plays the villain.
He's me. That got weird.
Where's the mistletoe I hang? I really like it. I will admit that as these films go along, the realism loses it. So it's kind of a bit realistic, but just fun, kind of goes over a little bit there. This is like almost video game level. And I think that's what a lot of people had issues.
Riding on the fighter jet, I think, is probably the...
Or using a taxi to take out a helicopter. It got a bit too... And I think, and again, we'll come to it when we write up our themes, but because it's treading on it, it's an average man in the first 3 against all the odds. Whether by this one, he's his own action hero. It's like, well, of course he's going to win because he's John McClane.
Yeah.
And I think they laid down too much into that.
And so this is really where I think 5 sort of carries on that tradition, new tradition, so to speak. That's a weird expression. It's an incorrect expression, you might say. But this carries on from 4 in this sort of extraordinary doing, like, I don't know, flying Mercedes G-Wagons through stuff. And there's some, like...
Again, like, and I think it's important because we didn't do this in the last couple of videos. So if you've not watched the earlier ones, we're not ragging on what was made. To make something in itself is an amazing feat. And so who are we to comment on that? They made something, and good luck to the hundreds of people involved. But as a fan looking at it from this point, there is a reason why I have 4 of them on the table and not the 5th one.
Yeah. And this is the thing, so this is where the retcon of this comes in, is that we can decide to come in at some point, and this is where, like, we need to talk about how we're going to do this.
Yeah.
I have a cheat card.
Nice. I know
I think we might have to employ.
100%. But for me, I think the reason there was a big gap here. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Bruce Willis not wanting to get on board. He kind of became quite a big celebrity at this point. Maybe he didn't want to do a script. It felt like maybe he was panhandled into it. But you know it's not good when one of them just kills it off. And I felt like Die Hard 5 didn't make much sense. And if it had have, like, it felt like Bruce Willis was in it. And then they were like, why not make this a Die Hard film?
Cute film. It's really weird film.
It is very weird.
Okay, so look. Before we get into, so what normally happens, we would at this point would figure out where we're going to cut in, and then like write some sort of motifs which we think are important to the films to help us write this thing out with our hour timer. I just want to say, like, I think we could use a cheat device to help us out with this. Because similarly, that, like, something which we always try to do with this is we make it so that it's something which could be filmed and achievable now. We can't cheat and go, if they went back in time and did something then, because that's useful to nobody. We're like imagining if somebody was coming to us now with this, how would you fix this problem in 2022?
Yep.
My cheat card is, I don't know if you saw, first of all, there's a rumor like a few months ago that Bruce Willis sold his likeness to a company to do deep fakes.
Yeah, and it's
wasn't true.
Yeah,
it was actually like they just used it in like some adverts for like a Russian cell company or something like that. But there's that, and James L. Jones has given permission for the Darth Vader voice to carry on after he's dead. I think Bruce Willis will be the first person to sign up to have a digitally de-aged face to make his films. He's a perfect candidate for it. He's alive now. He's maybe not well now, but he's of sound enough mind, even if he has got like this cognition problem where he can't like use his words properly or something. So he could sign like his estate or like his likeness over. I think that those sort of things happening mean that, like, and with deep faking being what it is, I think we could use that to deploy a new Die Hard film, and I would say that we set it in the 90s, and we splice in like there, and like so, and the reason being is that, like, I think that it could still sort of work with Die Hard 5 being there, but I think the 90s being so hot now, late 90s began to look like something else. The look is mostly early 90s. So I'd say we set it in like Christmas of 1993.
Okay. So usually I would come at you with, I have some ideas. And I would say to you, and you would write down yours, I would write down mine.
Yeah.
I've got to be honest with you. I have racked my brains around how to do Die Hard. And my issue with it was, how do you do Die Hard without Bruce Willis?
Yeah.
And it's like,
that's the thing, is that, like, I think if someone said to us, you can't do Die Hard without Bruce Willis. If you do Die Hard, so I was puzzling it as well, and I was like, if you do Die Hard without Bruce Willis, it becomes a made-for-TV movie.
Yeah. Or it's a cheap throwaway where at best he would have a cameo role.
It's sort of like there's Smoking a Bandit 3 when it didn't have Burt Reynolds in. It's like the Police Academy films when they got rid of Gutenberg. It's that same thing. And so we don't have to do that now because we've got deep fakes.
Yeah.
And as I say, this guy, is like you could get a body double for him.
Mike Myers?
Actually, yeah, like this is not
The best looking.
where is it there? Yeah, it's all right.
Probably looks better on the 720 HD camera we
Yeah.
have using.
But so do you see what I'm saying though? Like I think that, and like once again, if 20th Century Fox was going to be like, look, we want to do a Die Hard film, I would be. There's no way you can carry it on.
No.
And I would also argue that the 90s is really in now, and it's going to be huge in like a couple of years' time. The 90s is the thing.
Yeah.
I'd say let's do this. Like so when we get into the weeds of like words which are essential to Die Hard, I'd say Christmas is.
Yes, I agree completely.
And so I'd say set it Christmas 93 to 94. We use deep fake technology to make it so it's Bruce Willis of this era. This is all possible.
Yeah.
This is like
no. I know. I'm with you. It goes.
It's a Christmas miracle, Michael. It's a Christmas miracle.
God bless us. Okay. You know what? I'm in. I say let's do it. As I said, I am really lost, and I weirdly don't feel right going here without him. And so I would, with his blessing, with him giving it over cross.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Die Hard.
Because it can't. And also, even if we went back here, like you need Bruce Willis. It has to have Bruce Willis.
I agree.
And this would be the series to do this technology and see if it takes.
Because my only thought was setting a film here and having Bruce Willis at the start getting killed off. But then, that's as far as I got to where I could think, like he did die.
Dead hard.
Yeah, did die hard.
With a vengeance.
Yeah. Harder.
Yeah, so are you okay with that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It makes sense. I think it's the right play to make here.
Now, with that in mind,
should we write down our key themes?
If we once again, just so we're clear, the timeline, I think it can come in here, and I still think Die Hard 3 can exist because he doesn't really reference much. There's obviously a strong link with that, but he doesn't talk about this one at all.
No, but there's also some development here as well that we'll cross over and discuss.
And maybe we can sneak some things which are in this, which we could kind of like blow into it some more. So like maybe the Holly relationship.
That's what I was about to say, because at the end of Die Hard 2, obviously he rescues her off the plane. The start of Die Hard 3, she's just not in the picture, and he doesn't really have access to his kids. So clearly the relationship falls apart between 2 and 3.
Right.
So
look, and I've got some stuff with this. So let's obviously, if you guys are cool, we're going to say that we're going to come in on Die Hard 3 is going to take place in 1993 Christmas of.
Okay.
Where's the old wipey McWipe face?
I use it to cover up the license plate.
On the old bicycle there.
Yep.
Lovely. Right, so.
Okay, so are we timering it?
Do we timer from the concepts, or do we timer after we've done the concepts?
You know, we've done so many of these, I don't actually know.
What do you think's fair? Timer with the concepts, make life difficult?
Yeah, let's do it. What would McClane do? He'd take his shoes off before he started fighting.
That's true.
Let's roll this.
Yeah, go over there.
Yeah.
Ah, that's it. Shut it all down. Pack it up.
Close it up. Lights out.
Nakatomi.
No, it's done.
I got it. I can get it. All right. You write down yours. I'll write down mine.
I like the kind of like when we sort of fuck. It's all gone wrong, Michael. I like the kind of back and forward. I like the backward and forward. Let me start the timer. We can agree on that.
So again, if you're new, because you're just checking in with the Christmas episode, we give ourselves 1 hour to write this, so 30 minutes, so we know when we're halfway through. And at the end of that hour, we present what we've got, whether it's finished or not. Will we finish this one?
It's customary at this point to be...
It's going to be hard.
Good luck, Michael. It's going to be Die Hard. So that's the 30 minutes, and we're going to go from now. We're off.
Perfect.
So
all right.
What is Die Hard about?
100% Christmas, which was lacking in the last few, I think is a key element of the first two. So I'm shoving it in there straight away. And we both said that we agreed. So Christmas.
Go with predicament.
Yep.
It's like a scenario which gets played out.
Yeah.
It's like whatever it is. Stuck in a building, stuck in a airport, stuck in a taxi in New York, whatever it is.
Yep.
You got another one for us?
Yes, I do. It is the average man It is kind of like against the odds.
Do you know what? I've got something similar, but the way I'd put it is I put every man, just because my choice of words is different, but average man, extraordinary acts and situations. You see what I mean? And to sort of fill in on that, it's this expression. I've always got my stupid expressions.
Yeah, I've spelled it extraordinary.
Fine.
Yeah, dyslexia.
I got grounded, but fantastic.
Yeah, nice. So okay.
So that's like him. He runs out of ammo. He gets injured, but then he can also jump off the top of a building attached to a fire hose and survive it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I've got another one.
Yep.
Okay, so this had it in 1, it had it in 3, it had it in 4, didn't really have it in 5, and it's one of my big gripes with 2, which I didn't discuss as we were doing it. Like this, it needs the iconic, and I'm going to put like the excellent, and I don't know how another way of putting it, but it needs the iconic, excellent villain. Exactly. It is the thing that exists. Alan Rickman's portrayal in the first one is just...
And they need to go 1v1, like it's that sort of...
Yeah, 100%.
But even though there's like the henchman, if we can just kind of like... there's henchmen dotted around on the bad guy's side, so it's the 1v many.
Yeah.
But really...
It's 1v1.
It's that battle.
Yeah. It's the, I have this perfect plan, and he is the fly in the ointment, and he slowly takes it apart. And so you get the overconfident, excellent, very intelligent villain, who I am just going to put in here, because I actually think this is important based on 1 and 3. I'm actually going to put, and I've never really cared about this, but I think it is important for this, that it is British. I think he needs to be British. Alan Rickman, Jeremy Irons. I know Timothy Olyphant isn't British, and he is charismatic, but I think had he have been... at the time, had the accent, stuff like that, it would have tied it in a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because then you also get, at the core of this, a kind of element of America, like this outrageous, it's the average, it's like the American dream versus, so obviously you got that really ambiguous Eastern European accent in the first one, the kind of same one in the third one. It kind of feels like...
he's German, isn't he? But like the European bit comes from like, he sort of says that they're European judging by their... So he's just kind of like grouping Europe all together as one big lump.
Yeah, but there feels like there's that in there. Like John McClane is down to his red, white and blues and American.
Also, there's something about like especially with the early ones, which is where we're coming in on, is that Europeans felt kind of like exotic and strange as bad guys in these sort of films. You didn't really see...
Agreed.
It was obviously a lot of America versus Russia in that period, but like this European thing felt exotic and strange and dangerous. And the British actors doing that kind of accent, it's probably not a very good German accent, but who cares? They sound fucking amazing.
Agreed.
With that, I've just got like one extra thing along this stuff, which is the characterful henchman, which I think was also lost in later films.
Yes.
So you like with Die Hard 1, you know Carl by his name, you know, shit, we're burning through time with this. Whatever. Henchman, good.
Yeah. Named henchman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus names. Good. Now look, where I was kind of mucking around with this thing is there's a couple of stuff. So like really, we need a predicament to kind of like hang all this on. We know it's happening at Christmas. And so what I started to go for, and I think you would have done the same, is I was like, buildings done, airports done, cities done. So like what other sort of things? And I was thinking about like choke points at Christmas. And the one which was obvious one was like shopping mall.
Love it.
So like...
Absolutely love it.
And so with that, I was like, what sort of... We can make up some scenes, right? And what sort of like shopping mall shops and things would be cool to use and that sort of stuff. So we got things like video store, food shop. What other stuff you got?
You get like electrics. You get
electronics store, yeah.
Yeah. You get men's boutique and women's boutique where there's those hundreds of aisles of makeup and perfume.
And this is 90s shop as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Not like now where it's just empty.
Yeah. So huge men's and women's department. perfume shops.
Gun shop seems it's in the States.
Maybe not so much in a mall, but maybe we could include it in this if it gives a nice giveaway. So maybe
Okay,
a gun shop.
let's do shop and put an asterisk on that because maybe not.
Yeah.
There's bars inside them.
Yeah, there are. There's the food court.
Food court, love it.
They all have the food court. They'll also blatantly have a Christmas section where it'll be a Meet Santa little workshop.
Yeah, like a elf sort of thing.
Yeah. That'll be set up, and then you'll get like the big fountain area. You'll also have at the back the mall security.
Mall security's good.
Yeah.
Mall security's good.
And you might even in some of the bigger ones actually have something like a cinema in there as well.
Cinema's nice. I've also got home like a B&Q, what we would call it. I don't know what that would be.
Home base. What do they call it in America? Home Depot.
Home Depot, yeah. Home Depot.
Yeah.
And I've also got Sports Shop.
Yeah, and you might also get a comic book.
Yeah.
Like a nerdy kind of store.
In the 90s, certainly.
Yeah, 100%, right?
And so
would you have an arcade?
Ooh, fuck. Maybe theirs would actually work though.
Yeah.
I did try to get Die Hard Arcade to work, but it's not happening. Arcade. So look, I mean, there's stuff which like, I think that like what would be, if we think of like there's that sort of story, right? Which is that the way to kind of like do this sort of thing is you have somebody who's got to, they've got to be somebody to start off with, and they've got to get somewhere else, and there's got to be things which get in their way. And that also applies to the bad guys, I think, right? So, you know, like, what do the bad guys want? And the thing which gets in their way is obviously John McClane. Do you see what I'm getting at? So, like, I thought, I don't know, like, you know, Die Hard.
I'm literally being flooded with ideas at the moment.
What you got?
Okay, so one of the things is the misdirection. Okay, the villains think you're doing this and it's really obvious. What are they doing at Nakatomi? They're holding hostages. What they're actually doing is breaking through the gates. They're like, you don't need this.
They come across as terrorists, but actually burglars.
Exactly. In the second one, it's like, oh, we're holding hostage. They're actually trying to divert a plane to save the general of a country. Yeah. In the third one, they're playing cat and mouse for revenge. They're actually
to get
robbing
everybody
Fort
out
Knox.
of the city to get
right. So in the 90s, malls were huge. They were massive,
especially at Christmas time.
100%. You couldn't build them quick enough, right? So I'm just having an idea. Makes sense. Christmas Eve, the panic of the shops and everything else. The tills are at their fullest.
In the 90s.
In the 90s,
the height of
exactly. John McClane, because as we established earlier, there's a stretch with his wife is last minute Christmas shopping because his heart's not in it anymore. So that kind of gives allude to why he's shopping on Christmas Eve.
Maybe he's sort of spending more time in the bar in the place than actually doing the Christmas shopping.
Exactly, he's been suspended by work. Makes sense in all this. Terrorist, seizing the mall, one guy for this. In the 90s, the malls were built big and they were built quick with demand and stuff like that. So I'm just thinking of an idea. Don't know if it actually works.
Town, right?
Yeah, exactly. Sort of out of town. What if, right, that where it was before or something like this, wherever it might be, right? Just got an idea. What else was huge in the 90s was kind of hacking.
Yeah.
Right? What if you've got the Wall Street cable fiber for all the deals and all the stocks and shares and everything else runs from a central bank to the city, and it's completely protected and encased except for where there used to be a bank and it was knocked down to make room for a mall, and these group are coming in, they're holding the mall hostage and people think that they're trying to steal from that, but what they're actually doing is biding time while they drill into the ground and access the cable to hack it directly and steal.
You're onto something. So what if it's like this is the misdirection and the kind of like this is seemingly what it's done, and the thing of like the 4D chess that like historically there was something here and that's what's the real goods. What if like if it was made to look like, so in Die Hard 1 it was made to look like a burglary made to look like terrorism. Well, in this case it was terrorism to make it look like a burglary. So the misdirection thing is that like they start off, so hang on, in Die Hard 1, they're pretending to be terrorists. So in Die Hard 3, what we're doing effectively, they make it look like a burglary when actually they're doing an act of terrorism.
Love it. Their job is not to hack in.
But the diversion things, it's so important.
They're going to cut the line, taking back and destroying. What if, because this is how the 90s worked, like people didn't understand computers enough for them to be like, well, that doesn't make any sense. What if you've got it that the fiber for Wall Street runs along here and this is the best access point? They cut this.
So if it's
a
burglary made to look like terrorism to look like a burglary, so they go in at Christmas Eve in a mall to look like they're stealing everything from people and taking all the cash and that sort of stuff.
Exactly, and they're holding them hostage.
But actually what they're going to do is an act of terrorism of some sort.
Yes, because their idea is if we can sever this line here before it backs up to this computer, they're like, it goes so quick, this is too well protected, so is Wall Street, but this is just a shopping mall.
Maybe it's I don't know, like the thing which is, I hear you, I like it, but like I think it's perhaps too sort of I think we're onto something with the misdirection. I think that like maybe that's like, it's like too technological. I like what you're saying with like the 90s being about hacking, but like the wire going underneath there. I'm basically what I'm saying is that like I like it. I think there's some way which we can kind of get in on it. Unless we, as I say, the thought which I was like, but I'm not really sure about, is that like, what if it was kind of like done to, I don't like it, but I'm going to say it in case you get something better off it. Is that like, this act of robbery is made to kind of like make people second guess the capitalist system in some sort of way.
Yes, I like it, but it feels
a bit tenuous, isn't it?
It also feels very like, the goal all along was to. I think it needs to be something actually physical, tangible, because it needs to be something that McClane stumbles on, not realizes.
That thing in Batman 2 when the Joker sets fire to the cash. It's something like there's lumps of cash here, and what they're doing with the cash is like.
But then why go in if they've got the hardware? Just take the place out. Like,
but once again, why?
Because the idea being of biding time. Because you've got in Die Hard 2 and 1 and 3, it's the cops outside holding off and then playing cat and mouse with them.
So this is the thing is that I think what we need to do is figure out something, because like that thing is that obviously like the stock exchange is closed Christmas Day anyway. They could just go in the next day, chop it.
You're right.
Nobody matter. But like you're right though, there's something here that like something where it's about cops being outside worried about some sort of thing, and it's a misdirection. That's so critical to the Die Hard story. So as I say, we've got Brucey who's got his job, and you've got the terrorists who have got their job. We need to figure out what the terrorists.
What if you said it's in the middle of nowhere? What if that they are using the mall as a way to because then why would they wouldn't want to know. I was thinking like tunneling into a prison.
This is good, like good stuff. It's somewhere in there. So like, look, okay, if we got terrorists, burglars, whatever, and their act is to take the mall when everybody's got their pants down Christmas shopping and the most money is. So as I say, just the start of it, the initial kind of what it looks like.
Yeah.
The terrorists have gone in to sort of like take give me your wallet, give me your watch. You're here at Christmas. I know you've got loads of stuff. You basically bundle everybody into a section, take all their cash off them, all that sort of stuff, lock the door, and go through all the fucking, like the big shopping mall bits or whatever. Do you see what I mean? Just take it all. Because this is the 90s. It's about cash, like paper. Still buying stuff with that. And it'd be big loads of money. Wouldn't it be fucking boatloads of that shit?
Yeah.
So maybe there's something in just the manoeuvring of cash about, which is why. So let that sit and stew for a minute. You got Brucey being in there because he's doing Christmas shopping because he's kind of done with his wife or whatever, and he's like so sort of, it's not quite landing for him. It'd be great if he met up with Powell or something like that, like him and they were sort of like hanging out. It'd be like a cool thing. Or
agreed.
Or maybe even just speaking to him on the phone. I know that was done in Die Hard 2, but whatever. And then he needs to have like be kicked out of this and be in this scenario where like all fucking hell's breaking loose. And So then we just need to come up with like some set pieces with these different islands, and then at the end we just need to think of that twist in the tale for what the terrorists are actually up to. Because we've got set pieces to go here. If you imagine that each of these,
each one. It's almost like the level. So it's like the different levels in the plaza. Like he goes up till he gets to the roof and he comes crashing back down.
I suppose that, like, if you look at these, you got like stuff where it'd be. I suppose you could have it like where it's resources and fights.
Yeah.
So a good place to get resources and a good place for us to stage a fight.
Yeah.
So something which is low for resources, just looking, you got the food court. I mean, there is resources there, but it's ideal for a firefight in amongst 100%. Like food.
Same with the cinema as well. You can be very cinematic with that. So
whereas like sporting goods shop, you got baseball bats, but also it's a good place for a fight.
Ice hockey, like New York.
It can look like an initial place to get resources, but ends up being a fight.
Yep.
More security is great. We got now. Here's another die-hard thing which we should think about: is are more security in on it or not in on it? Are they? Do you see what I mean? Are they like Die Hard 2? They're sort of in on it. Is there maybe a twist which we could put unique to this one? So, like maybe we had a double cross already in Die Hard 2.
Just, I'm going to throw it out there, yes or no. In every Die Hard, he is close to suspension and stuff like that. What if John McClane is more security at Christmas for a bit of extra money? Because he's been suspended and he needs to save some presents. And he's pissed off and grumpy because he's gone from being... And he's got kids being like, fuck off, you're not a real cop. And he's like, actually I am.
This is perfect.
So he's actual moonlighting is more security at Christmas to get some more money, and it's the kind of like to buy shit that he doesn't want to give to a wife he's pretty convinced is never going to leave LA.
Who's sleeping with pal.
Yeah. For kids that like he doesn't get to see that often. So he's the real kind of perfect. I've got nothing left to lose.
And that puts him in a situation where he would never be in. Yeah. We know the character, he wouldn't do it.
No, yeah. So John McClane has actually been...
More security.
Yeah, he's moonlighting for more security and stuff like that.
So
wait, we're setting this before Die Hard 3, right?
Yeah. Is that no good? Do you need to slide it?
No, I'm just wondering, like, it's 1993, so... Because in the beginning of Die Hard 3, he's suspended, right?
Yeah.
Well, in America, I don't know if this is true. I know it's the same in England with the Met. They're not allowed to have a second job. Because obviously the idea being, I think in America they could. There might have been a nice, like, at the end of the film, he's discovered and he's suspended from the police. And
so he's literally working nights doing this. So he's a cop in the daytime.
However it worked, because obviously they work on shift patterns, but... I don't know if it's too much to throw in.
But
the idea being is at the end of the film, it's like
suspension.
McClane, you're suspended for having another job, and he's just like, "Are you kidding?" And it ends with him like yelling at his boss as it does that typical
the big crane shot out.
The crane shot out as well. The weather outside is fun, like kind of Christmas song playing, and that's why at Die Hard 3 he's suspended because it's. But then it's the summer, and would he be suspended that long? So maybe it's a bit too much.
I like where your head's at. It's these sort of tie-ups which we need.
Yeah.
More security is fantastic.
Yeah, John McClane, more security. You can have the typical skateboarders outside, and he's yelling at them.
Which town do we set this in? It should be snowing.
Yeah, I think you can do something like New Jersey.
Okay.
So he crosses the bridge over from New Jersey because he's a cop in the city and does nights in New Jersey. And he can just be talking about like, he can just be like, I hate New Jersey.
Yeah. So just to make this clear, he is still a cop.
He is still a cop, but his jurisdiction is in the New York state, and he goes over to New Jersey to moonlight as more security to earn some extra money because things aren't going well with him. Because he's going through the divorce, or he's saving up for a divorce, or he's trying to, he's just pissed it all away. Because he's never has his life together.
Yeah. So we could open this movie with him going across the bridge. Yeah.
What's a New York City cop doing on more security in New Jersey?
Snowing.
And it can be John McClane with a thing like being like, well, in Jersey, you need to have, the security needs to be that good. Like taking the piss out of New Jersey. Because people from New York take the piss out of New Jersey. Great. It all kind of ties in.
I love it. So he's more security. That's why he's there.
Yeah.
The terrorists or criminals or whatever they are, their plan is to get fucking group everybody, get the exits or something, maybe trucks on the exits or something, or what could they do to kind of cut the exits off of every exit in this big mall? Because if the mall's kind of like got a certain, so like you say, there's the centre point, which is like a fountain thing, which is where they can kind of have everybody out.
Yeah, so like most malls tend to be built around parking lots, and they're not very complicated structures, because the idea being is you can go in and locate. So if you imagined it like this, and then each one of these, and then you've got the centre where it's the food court, and the food court all dotted around here, and you've got all the stops.
And an underneath floor as well, right?
Yeah, and then you've got the car parks all around here. So it's got 4 entrances, and they would call it East Wing, South Wing, West Wing, so on and so forth.
Do you enter in from here, or these ends, it would be easier? And so like maybe, do they like sort of slide trucks across it, or do they have like, they have somebody guarding that with guns? Do they blow up this thing so it's all rubble? No, it's not good enough. And like have one sort of working exit, which, do you see what I mean? And like there's some sort of way, and they just funnel everybody into this centre bit.
What if you played around with it being like a state-of-an-art mall kind of thing? And so they come in and they just bring down the shutters, you know, the nighttime shutters that are designed to keep people out. They go up into security. John McClane's on a smoke break. They take out his friends. They activate the emergency.
Be nice, like him outside with like the snow falling.
Yeah. And then the shutter is on the outside, so it locks him out. So him knowing the mall,
he hasn't got any shoes on.
Yeah, and he knows, for example, like the fire exit for the cinema door. They always prop it open, or something like that. He knows something.
Maybe he does like he sort of disappears out there for a fag break and to have like an illicit swig of something to kind of set up the
So they go straight into, let's say, the basement where security is. They take out the people. Your typical like, what are you guys doing here? Are you with the elf team? And it's like, take them out, and they're like, the guys in there. They set up everything else, and it's like,
and we have like
deploy.
We could have them sort of like doing like, they get everybody into like a line, and like literally at the end of the line they come turf out all their stuff.
I think they just utter shutdown mode.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that, like I said, ultimately they kind of box everyone in.
Yeah,
and then
in every store.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So what they do is they hit the end of the night thing. So the door, the big like grates come down at the front on every exit, and then the shop door ones have. So you have people panicking, being like, "What's going on?" And then you literally have. Then they come out. John McClane's locked outside, being like, "What the hell's going on?" And then you've got a couple of random people that are still stuck outside, because obviously at that point, the food court's kind of gone. You've got maybe a few people going to see Santa.
Well, so we set this at like, it's got to be like 4 in the afternoon or something, so it's dark.
No, it's evening, it's nighttime. It is the mad rush, Christmas Eve. 6 o'clock, yeah. The mall shuts at 9. It's the last 3 hours that it's open. It shuts, it locks people in stores.
And then the guys go from like thing to thing, gives all the cash.
Then open up homeware. Homeware opens up. Right, everyone hand out their stuff.
On the ground, face down. Yeah. All your money down in the middle reservation thing.
And the thing is with Die Hard that they had in the first 2 films is you could have 2 guys coming into the bottom where the kids are and kind of opening up, I don't know, like say an ice cream parlor, shoving them all in. So yeah, say like the ice cream, you know, like the candy shop ones. They open that up, they shove all the kids in there and close it. But then the terrorists that are left just go around, and anyone that's not secured behind a shop, they just shoot.
Yeah.
So they just take those people out. So the people that were shopping are stuck, but anyone that was outside a store when the shutters come down,
and they can go through and like go through their wallets. The dead people just kind of really make them
exactly
turds.
Yeah. And then they've got, each one of them has like the device on them, because it's the 90s, that allows them to open up each shop.
And I like the walkie-talkieing back to the security overlord, because that's a nice, we could end up like some sort of way of, do you see what I mean?
Yes, yeah. And John McClane working security has the card that allows him to go and open up each shop, so that they can be like, and it pops up on the system, he's in homeware. So the idea being is when he's locked inside each one, he can open it up, but it tells them where it is. So he only gets like a quick, like, I don't know what, 5-minute head start.
And then we got things like in the roofs, you got like going through into other shops and crawling in. So going in through sporting goods and coming out through into the electronics store.
Because he knows.
And like security store, this electronics store, you got those TV setups with the cameras, and so you can kind of see security, you know, terrorist with that sort of thing, and
Yeah.
you got those kind of moments.
Yeah, I love it.
All right, so
How are we doing on time?
right, we've got 4 minutes to finish the buttoning up of the position.
Okay.
I think what we need to do is think of this actually, because we can start to play this.
Yeah.
This is
So he
middle.
takes them out slow by slow, realizing that the center has to be in the control panel because they're opening it. He's on the top floor, like the ground
So
floor.
yeah, I think like
Make his way to the bad guy. The bad guy, when he gets there, isn't the guy he's been talking to.
so this, I think, like once again, if we think of like what the terrorist motivation is, because are they just stealing cash, or is it like a double cross? And that's what because that's Act 3, isn't it? Which we need to kind of like figure out.
Just throwing out there,
Yeah.
right? When you go into most malls in America, right, it's a huge mall, but it's actually a massive car park.
Yeah.
And what they actually have are these smaller other buildings on the outside, right? What if all of this and the guy on the thing and everything else, when John McClane gets to the top and he bursts in, it's like a Johnny Five kind of like weird old 90s robot securing it all. The guy's not even in the building. And the reason being is this is all a distraction because what they're actually doing is robbing the bank opposite the mall. The idea being is there'll be such pandemonia with everything going on at the mall and that stuff happening in there that what they're actually doing is hitting these banks. The banks all have their tunnel and their underground vault.
See,
And what they're
no. I think maybe you're right with prison, because it's like, because the thing is at the bank one, I love it, but it's done in Die Hard 3. So like we've got all the police here that like then that actually this is meant to be some sort of money thing, but actually they're breaking somebody out of prison.
Yep.
Like a high-profile terrorist inside the joint.
The only thing is they wouldn't set up a mall next to a prison.
No, you'd be fucking crazy.
Exactly.
What would you set up next to it? Not much. They stick them in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly for that reason. So
you're right though. This is exactly it. Where it's like some sort, and this is the end game. To say banks have been done. Terrorist thing. It's kind of like Die Hard 2, like an act of terrorism. Maybe there's like some sort of, maybe it's not right, but like, you know, it was the Washington Monument which are going to blow up, or something which is usually high profile thing which is guarded, which they then can kind of like take out. Because actually they...
What if, okay.
Because they're burglars, terrorists pretending to be burglars.
Yeah, 100%. So what if, that's the important switch around, right? What if it's 90s, right? Everything's done like this. What if this is the brand new mall of New Jersey and everything else, powered by our state-of-the-art hydroelectric dam that powers this mall and half the city of New Jersey. They take out the mall, they think it's all that, but what they've actually done is used an access panel that's at the bottom of the mall to enter the base of a dam. The idea being is they're going to blow it and flood the city below. That will have consequences of whatever.
It's really close, because it's like, I mean, once again, New Jersey's not right for that because it's not got the height or whatever.
No.
But a thing like it would make sense.
Like they'll take out the power, but then it just feels
Power's
like
good.
Take out power.
Maybe release something into the water. Water's already poisonous as shit in that part. You don't drink the Hudson, do you? Unless you want to...
Yeah, exactly. No, it's like the water treatment facility. But then that tends to be like more in rural areas. Like
It's a bit loose, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a little bit.
Some act which is like...
We got 40 seconds.
Fuck. I mean, when we hit the third... We're going to hit the... There's no way we're going to figure this in 30 seconds. We might do. But like what we'll do is we'll start outlining all of this and we leave this gap.
Yeah. They're hitting... all we can say right now is it's some ecological disaster. Right, because the whole point is they've targeted a mall because they're anti-capitalism and stuff like that. So they're going to be pro all of that stuff. So it makes sense, especially with the 90s, that wherever it is, it's an ecological terrorist disaster. And to distract that, they're making this the message, which they do partly believe, but it's actually to disguise the fact that they're going to create something that's going to have huge repercussions across like states and even the city of New York, because that's important because then John McClane's got stake in it even more.
That's the 30 minutes. So I've got to press it again.
Yep.
Restart.
So it's an ecological disaster that's going to have impacts on several states, including New York, because then it's extra personal for John McClane.
Have I got the wipey? I do. What I'm going to do is, I think the mole is quite useful there. So I'm going to lose this. I'm going to keep these because I think that's going to be useful.
Yeah. I tell you what, take that out because this is just mumbo jumbos. Pass me that. We'll do the 3-act structure in the middle and I'll draw the mole here.
Do you want to talk through the 3 acts? Are you going to move? Yeah. So whilst Mike is doing some rudimentary artwork here, it's actually very nice artwork, Michael. I'm sorry. That like the 3-act structure, as I'm sure you guys know if you're familiar with our program or if you're familiar with storytelling in general, is that what we do is I'm doing this really rubbish just for a minute to describe it. So the way which we write and the way most people do, I don't know why I'm having such a hard time saying this, is we go Act 1, bomb on a bus gets above, I always do speed. What's another movie which I could do? Indiana Jones.
Die Hard.
That'd be good, wouldn't it? Indiana Jones. So Act 1, the people come to him and say, Indy, there's a thing called the Ark of Covenant. Do you want to go find it? Act 2, Indy goes off looking for the Ark of Covenant. And you know what? Act 3, he finds it, they open it up, and some Germans get melted. So Act 0.1 is in Indiana Jones. It's when he's getting chased by the boulder in a seemingly unrelated saga, but what it does is it sets up the promise of the rest of the movie. So you have like some cool set pieces. If it's an action film, if it's a horror film, you have something scary or whatever. Because most stories, Act 1, it's a bit fucking boring to start off with. So, sorry, I did a terrible job of that. You should have done it.
Do it in red because it will work with the Die Hard.
Okay, so nice and big.
Okay, so I've got our 0.1 act as you're drawing it down if you're up for it, right?
Go.
So the idea being is they're going to block these doors and everything else, right? By bringing
like
down
Act
the
1,
shutters.
but anyway.
I know, but they've still got to get into the mall somehow, right?
Yep.
With all that equipment and everything else. So here is the loading bay where all the trucks come in. The start of 0.1 is a guy handing over a truck thing being like, God, it's freezing out here. I've been waiting for hours, like with the big truck. And it's got the typical, oh, I'm so sorry, you're waiting.
What's the trucks?
So they shoot a truck driver because all malls have the entrance where all the goods come in. So they can't just walk through the front door with all their equipment and everything else. So the start of Act 0.1 is the terrorist group and our charismatic leader taking out a truck driver for a big truck so that they then, when we cut into Act 1 with John McClane, they arrive by bringing their truck in. But more importantly, because it's a mall, when the truck's in, that blocks the maintenance exit out.
So I love it. I think it seems like it's semantics and I seem like I'm being a picky sod, but actually that should be there.
Okay.
Because like that's the story starting, right? So Act 0.1 in this instance would be Brucey Boy going across the bridge, like from New York over into
New Jersey.
Like maybe losing his like the police outfit or something and kind of like getting into the other thing and and it's like some shots of like this winter and snow and stuff.
You can also have it where, like, when he gets in and he goes into his uniform, they're all wearing Christmas themed and he's wearing his normal one. And they're like, where's your Christmas jumper? And he's like, there's no way in fuck I'm putting that on, and just walks off.
Yeah.
Like, so, pissed off.
And it's like we then introduce, like, I know it's not the fastest one, but actually Die Hard does have slow burns because Die Hard 1's Act 0.1 is the aeroplane landing.
Yeah.
With McClane sort of going
Son
around.
of a bitch with his feet on the carpet.
That's technically 1 in that, but I hear you. Him sort of telling him about that is there. So Act 0.1 is McClane drive until we find something better to mall because he's a mall cop. It's so cold in here.
Yeah, it is freezing. Okay, so then Act 1 is...
Like you say, the trucks... So this is the predicament. So this is like the bus gets above 50, it blows up. So the people with the trucks...
Yeah. So I don't know why I've done it like that.
Yeah,
but cool. So the truck comes in, just draw the little wheels on the side, and they go straight in. At this point, because we see them hijack the truck and go in, we also see John McClane step outside and go round for a smoke, like let's say here, right? So act 1, we see him wandering around. We see him like maybe grabbing like your typical skateboarders skateboarding in the mall, and he like knocks them off. They're like, "What are you going to do about mall cop?" And he's like, "Absolutely nothing." And then he's just like, "Hun, part." And he's like, "I'm going for a smoke break." I'm like, "Your break ain't for another 20 minutes, McLean." And he's like, "Bill me." You know, some typical wise guy goes out the front, has a cigarette. He's looking at like toys and stuff like that, kind of showing an interest. And he's just like looking at like baby god doll. And he's like, I know the whole way through, he's trying to reserve an action figure, you know, like because that was big in the 90s.
Jingle All the Way.
Yeah, no, there's a bit of Jingle All the Way there, but do you know what I mean? And he's like, I thought you were going to save me one. It's not. He's pissed off. So he still cares about his kids. We still got that, right? So he goes outside for a smoke. At this point, these guys come in, block the exit. They take out the 2 people working the service bit, being like, we're not supposed to get a delivery. It's Christmas Eve. Bang, bang, dead. They go in. So they go into the security section for the mall. They take it over. All the shutters come down. The big things cut down. Bruce Willis is like, what the hell? So he goes around.
Locked out.
He is locked out. So all of these are like the massive proof ones. And then all the shops that are dotted all around here have all those shop gates closed down. Yeah. At this point, people were like pissed off and everything else. We've got a couple of like your typical grumpy Gus customers being like, it's Christmas Eve, like, do you know who I am, kind of thing. He's like, you what are you doing? He's like, I don't know, I'm out here, like, what's going on? And then John McClane like comes round, sees that this is blocked in, sees that there's a delivery, because
we do a delivery at this minute.
yeah he's like, no, he does no radio, no nothing. When he's pissed off, he takes it outside. That's important. He does not have a radio.
No
radio. So then he is just like, for Christ's sake, and he's like, remembers he's left his radio on the side as he's taking it out. So the guy's like, your break isn't for 20 minutes.
That'd be quite a nice foreshadowing like type thing if we sort of like have it that it's like some sort of semi-recurring thing, you know, kind of like in Die Hard 1 where he's like, the guy says to him about the shoes thing.
Yeah.
That similarly somebody says to him, it's a little too layup, but work with me here, that like someone says, you know, will you remember to charge your batteries up this time, or you know, remember your goddamn radio when you're going out there, or some sort of thing to kind of foreshadow that rather than this one time I'm going to put it here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, completely. So he doesn't have the radio. So at this point he goes round to this point, starts investigating it. John McClane is always onto it before anyone else is.
Yeah.
So this is when he's like, there are no deliveries at Christmas Eve, and he looks and he sees that the van. He then notices the blood on the driver's side where they killed the driver, and he's just like, something's going on.
Maybe the like some of the electric's been pulled out of it, so it can't be moved again.
Exactly.
Because otherwise he could fix his problem just by driving.
100%. So then at this point, John McClane then hears the gunfire going off. This is our terrorists going around killing people, all in this. We then get a shot of them approaching the food court, the Christmas area where you have all the kids hiding. It cuts away because we get the impression like these guys are going to kill the kids. We then get another bit where the doors are being opened, all the kids are being shoved in. So it's this a bit like in Halloween.
Yeah.
This is how
we're
far
not going to
we
overstep the line.
Yeah, so they're not killing the kids, but we leave it on that point. John McClane then realizes he needs to get in. He tries climbing on the van. He tries climbing on everything else. He realizes it's solid through. So then at the top, or by going inside, he basically breaks into the van to then go through, comes out, sees the dock workers are dead.
Yeah, I think like he should use his insider knowledge and kind of like go up and round. Because if he could do anything with this, if it was like penetrable by some way, he could fix a problem.
Yeah.
So like he uses his prior knowledge and also just his being John McClane-ness to go up round and maybe some sort of fire escape thing or something, because he's
the cinema on the top floor, the fire exit. So he does that, climbs round, and he knows that the fire exit door is open.
Yeah, you could have him sort of going in through a cinema which is playing like a Christmas film or something, and he sort of
exactly.
goes back round.
You've then got the guys going around checking the areas. You've got one dude in the cinema where Bruce Willis overpowers him, gets his radio, and then is able to follow what is going on. And then you have the cat and mouse of him making his way to the security, which is on the basement floor, hiding between the shops, the tomfoolery and everything else, till he gets down there. Finally think he's going to win. At this point, you also get the typical police show up. So that has to be a thing as well. Like the police show up at the end, like towards here.
I can there. Actually.
Yeah. They're going to storm and everything else. They're going to go in. John McClane's warning them not to. Nice bit. Let's imagine it's this section here. They're like, these blast doors are all brand new, but the one on the east wing is faulty. It doesn't actually work. With a bit of force, it will come up. That's where we'll go in. Everything else, the police think they're in on it. It's going to be an amazing thing because they can't get through here, but the terrorists don't know that this one can. So when the SWAT team burst in, what they don't realise is that these guys are waiting for them. And there's the crossfire shoot, and they all get killed.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. It's there's some of it which is too close to Die Hard 1 at the moment. So things like the radio and like the cops turning up, we need to put like rub some kind of like clever shit on that. So whether it's like, whether it's a case of like mines being dotted around on the way in or something, so like to stop, because like we've done the cops turning up and then them coming in and getting taken out in crossfire with a gate opening up and that sort of thing. You know, like, don't kill them, wound them. It's all, so we need something which is going to kind of, I love it. Just a few things which we could do to rub some fun.
Yeah, the mines are nice. So then we get that, I suppose what you can have is at the beginning then, before the truck lands, we see the truck stopping, going round, stopping, going round, stopping, and we don't know what they're doing, going round, stopping, and then coming into here. And then as you say, when the police and the SWAT vans come in, you realise the reason why they were stopping is they were using the van to hide as they were dropping down mines.
I think rather than just sort of gingerly stopping, it should ram
100%, like it's completely crumbled.
And then pull the electrics out on it.
Yeah, exactly. And then what they've done is by driving around like a maniac, they've let off these mines. And you can what we could do is have a bit where at some point, I don't know, maybe this bit of Act 2, John McClane has to go back out to go back in, and that's when he sees one of the mines and he's trying to warn the police, but they won't listen. Yeah, and it goes off. He then manages to get back into the building.
Quite a nice thing where, like, once again, we foreshadowed the mines, and so, like, he's later on got to do something past the minefield. Do you see what I mean? Like, we set up how dangerous it is. It's a bit like, we never go out at night. The bad guys are, if they're going out at night, you mustn't cross the streams in Ghostbusters. What do? They cross the streams.
Yeah. So
set up, when we come to the Act 3, whatever the fuck we're going to figure that is, McClane's got to drive out and dodge mines or something. And
so what if, for example, when they're down in the security, they're actually using it to break through to a wall to find this old access tunnel. But as McClane gets down there, they detonate it. And it closes. So these guys, the cops are not aware that they're actually underneath. They think they're still in the mole. And John McClane realises they're getting away. He can't follow them, so he's forced to jump in a car and drive through the mines after them. And you get the whole bit of the mines going off and everything else.
So look, as I say, we still haven't got this thing done. So you rattled there for like, got some good shit going. We just need to kind of put some meat on the bone with some scenes, I think. And then we can figure out this. So his way in, what now, as I say, if we have like, it would be equipment and combat place. So video store is good for, if I do combat in red, combat and blue for equipment and stuff.
C1.
Yep.
And then food shop.
It would be combat as well. There's no equipment in there, is there?
So C2.
Electric store. Combat is no going to be maybe equipment, because you could get like not radios but TV equipment or something.
Yeah.
Men's women's store, combat.
Yeah.
Gun store. Is that too obvious? Yeah, let's come back to that. Bars is
equipment, because you can get like Molotov.
Ooh. See, I told you I'm writing so weirdly. Yeah. And maybe combat, but it's a bit boring for combat, isn't it? All of these could be combat, really. So actually, I suppose if we just do equipment and either or for the moment. Yeah. Food court is obviously combat.
Yeah.
Christmas meets Santa, combat. Big.
Big fund. Big fun.
Okay. What's that?
Mole security. I don't know what
that one.
Cinema.
Cinema combat.
Yeah.
That's
Sporting goods.
sporting goods is that. So
yeah. So that's Home Depot. So that's definitely equipment. Yeah,
that's equipment.
Yep.
Comic book, combat, arcade, combat.
Yeah, nice.
So right, he should have like a nice fun fight in a couple of these sort of places, right?
Yes, 100%.
And it's just a matter of dotting them about where they make the most sense. And like getting rid of his more security friends and all that sort of thing. Obviously the main bad guys are taking care of a lot of that. If we do like, he should be underarmed to start off with to make him so he needs to go to like the sports shop to kind of like get a baseball bat. Or
but he always takes out someone. So what we could have is at the very start, like at the top here, for example, the first combat is in the cinema. So you got one guy with a gun, like checking the seats, going through. John McClane bursts through the screen, takes over him. As he goes to get the gun, the other guys start firing, forcing him to run away.
I think
so he doesn't have the equipment.
No, I think you're right with like the opening interaction should be that sort of thing. If we set that in somewhere like the sporting goods shop or something like that, because it's a bit like the terrorists being in the cinemas, I kind of like, what are they doing? They're watching like Home.
No, literally just going through, checking the seats because they're rounding up people.
Like, wouldn't that be like amongst the last? Like, you know, you could just. I'm just saying also, it's like in terms of like, if we can get McClane to like get that early kill and get on the ground, we also can equip him with something unusual like a, you know, chainsaw or, you know, something from sport, you know, from Home Depot.
I'll follow your lead.
But do you see? I mean,
yeah.
So like, as if he can go in through, like, what would be a more fun place for him to pick up something to fight and kind of like get it on? Because we need to sort of like start to squidge people up. Where's an empty store? Maybe the cinema is better because it would be empty. But why would you stick a security guard in it? Maybe he goes in through the cinema, unapproached, and goes out into the first set of stuff. Because, you know what I mean? Like, we need nobody to be there, because if he sort of like lands in the middle of like a cinema and there's people in it.
No, I mean like the cinema is empty.
Why would you put a terrorist in there?
To check that it is empty.
How long are you going to, you know, like you'd just be, you know, maybe somebody hiding in there, but they got shit to do. And like, if it's not lots of people with purses, you're like, well, so we need somewhere quiet for him to start off and to overpower. Maybe it's like in the storeroom of like one of these things. Maybe they could have the fight in the storeroom.
Yeah.
Of like the sports shop. Because you've got like loads of balls and shit. They could have like a physical altercation in there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you usually have, I know, because if it was in a staff room, why would he have gone out the front?
Tricky.
Yeah.
Maybe we've tied ourselves into a knot by keeping them all in these things. We need to funnel the people into one place. Because we need to lose as many, like, because if Brucey lands in like a shop, we want nobody to be in that shop. Yeah. So him and the man can have a fight. Because obviously if Brucey comes in the shop and there's like 20 other people in there, they probably would overpower and you end up with just this sort of weird...
Or they go to shop by shop to open it up. So this is their way of controlling people. They open it up, they take everyone out, they lead them into the centre, and they just keep going back and forth, grabbing the people that are left. And at that point, when John McClane gets to about here, this section of the mall is empty. And so then these terrorists continue it. It's also why they have to split up, because they've got to continue doing this. These guys go to deal with it, and John McClane just keeps chasing the empty stores.
Yeah, so Johnny's first port of call would be to go back to security. So he's got to find that like security's been overpowered and that's no good.
Yeah.
So maybe he bumps into a mate of his, another security dude, who's just like, they've taken over, we got to get out of here.
Yeah.
And John's like, what the fuck? You know, like, we're here to look after people. I don't want to be here, you don't want to be here, but...
What can you do? Yeah, I'm not dying for minimum wage, man.
Yeah, and he's just like, Johnny's like, well, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And so that's how he gets the intel that upstairs the security bit's overpowered.
Yep.
And so he's like, you know, what do they seem to be doing? We need to go around and look. And so maybe they like using the rooftops to kind of like go in and look in through these skylights or something, and they could see what's going on.
Yeah, no, I like that.
And then like they could be like, oh, they seem to be like, you know, moving them out from one place to another or something, and that's when he's like, okay, they're done with this shop, and that could be his way in.
Yeah.
So if he sort of drops into whichever one of these shops we want, he sort of like equips himself with something and maybe has like some sort of altercation with a bad guy in there. And
So sporting goods, ground floor, he goes in through the skylight straight away when he sees it's clear, trying to find a way to get to the security. At this point, the guard comes back in, he grabs an ice skate.
Yeah.
And takes the guy out with an ice skate. Goes to grab the gun. Another dude starts shooting at him, and he has to leg it. Then they're like, we've got a guy, and it's like one guy or the rest of them all, leave him to it. Like, he'll have run off scared.
Yeah, the security guards are all over there.
Yeah. And then...
Maybe we could do something brutal, like just like, you know, who else is, you know, like, we've got to put some character on the bad guy. So here's this nasty bad guy move. What if he's like, is a security guard doing it? You know, we've seen a security guard at large or whatever. He sort of goes to the other security guards who've all got boxed up, and is like, how many other people have you got on shift tonight? And they're like, this is all of us other than that one guy. And he's just like, you know, radios up to his mate in the security thing. Have they got like a sheet of who's due on tonight? Yeah. Read them all out. And goes through, and they're like, we're missing somebody. Do you see what I mean? And it's like, you guys are full of shit. And they just kill all the security guards.
Yeah, nice.
So some sort of like way to show that like this dude's in control. And also it's like you got loads of character moments in there. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I like it.
Like they don't know it's a security guard yet. And maybe it's sort of like the dude's clocking, like, you know, so early on we have this security guard.
Kill, security guard's taken out.
With like some backwards and forwards, so we get the idea that they're really super knowing what the fuck they're doing.
You then have a couple more shops on here, and then the Act 2 is...
Yeah, this is when we're in the thick of it. Really, actually, this is kind of... Act 1 is like the predicament of like locking things down and funneling people into...
Yeah,
place.
100%.
So Act 2 is the act of kind of getting on and fighting. So
and so
Act 1's super short, really.
And then Act 2 is the... Act 2 is the security guards being killed. John McClane making his way.
That security guard's killed is really the kind of like the tipping point from Act 1 to Act 2. So we've got John McClane is now... He's killed a bad guy.
Yep.
He's at large moving around, and the bad guys know that they've got someone in there.
Yep.
Maybe two, because he's got his mate.
Yep, nice. Then you have the cat and mouse back and forth, by which
through
point...
some shops.
Yep, through different shops.
So what would be a nice shop to do next? We've done sporting goods.
Yep.
Where should we go next?
I
somewhere,
guess...
like, should we have a fight somewhere, or do we need more kit?
You could have like a nice bit where like it's in the women's store section or whatever like this. He's hiding out in a changing room. He's in the changing rooms. I got it. You got a nice scene where he's injured from the sports shop incident where the guy clips him. He's in the changing room bleeding, wrapping his arm up.
With a bra.
Yeah, whatever it is. And you got the security guard following the blood, doing the typical like, I've got him, like guns down the changing room, opens it up. John McClane's not in there. Comes out. He's
a mannequin.
Yeah,
slaps it
the whole way through. John McClane, does whatever. I don't know, perfume and a flame or something like that.
Yeah. But you know, some sort of cool altercation in it.
Exactly.
In there.
But the following the blood through the women's store into the changing room.
Changing rooms. I'm going to put blood in red. It seems only fitting.
Yep. So changing room bloods takes out that guy.
Oh shit! We got 6 minutes.
Yeah, video game cabinet. Would it be really cheesy to have him kill someone where he hits the cabinet and you have something like finish him? Because it is
It's 93, so Mortal Kombat is out.
Yeah, so you could have Mortal Kombat finish him.
I'll tell you what. Hang on. We've got. Oh my god, we've got to do the end of this. This is the most important thing. We've got to tie it up. We've got 5 minutes to do it. So cat and mouse for all these different stores. Take your pick.
Yep.
Then we get to here. We find that like all of this has been a big sort of smoke screen, or has it? You know, do we just have it so it is just about robbery and we stop trying to push the issue of the switching?
No, because I like the mines section. So at the same point you have this, you have the police trying to get in. Then you've got at the end of Act 2 or halfway through, you have the mines going off.
Mines.
Yeah. John McClane gets in, at this point gets into security, and he's not in there. It's been watched by a camera on closed circuit, whatever like that, and he's been ordering it all from there. John's like, what the hell? He's like, why else would he be here? He then follows in this line. The tunnel is blowing up, so he knows this guy is getting away or doing whatever he needs to be doing. Like, this whole thing has been a diversion. The guy's escaped.
Could they just be burning the cash? Just fucking burning it? It's a hell of a thing, isn't it?
Yeah, but then like that's next level kind of. That's why the Joker does it. Like, I feel like terrorists, those guys are there with a plan. So they're either not caring.
What if they're
it would probably be more like John McClane goes in and realizes like all the cash has just been left.
Or maybe the cash is going to be directly funding like some terrorist activity.
Yeah, something like. But you've got they are escaping.
What if it's Hans Gruber's dad? And like, you know, they're like
Grand Gruber.
Yeah. Senior. Yeah. So they're like loading the stuff into like, do you see what I mean? Like, the money's going to be used for a terrorist act. So, you know, they're like, so in the face-off at the end, you know, who said we're terrorists? And this time it's like, so you're just going to steal, all this is for, you know, you fuckers are all the same, you're just stealing money just so you can spend it on Porsches or something. And the guy's like you just don't get it. That like this money is going to be in Afghanistan by the end of the week.
Yeah.
And by the end of the month, there is going to be funding like the Al Qaeda stuff, which of course ties up to
yeah. So you pick any kind of terrorist groups in New York, a thing like this, and be like, rather than fund it ourselves, the Americans would have funded their own demise. Typical evil plot. But I still think the Mines is great, and I still think it's important that when they get to that security office, they're not there, and he realizes that they've actually tunneled. There's like an access tunnel. They've gotten out in a way where he can't get through. So they are underground, and he is forced to go overground. Drives through all these mines.
So look, I mean, if we think about conveyance, right? You've got, maybe it's trains. Maybe there's like a tube train or like
lovely. There's a subway
or a monorail or something.
Yeah. There's something underneath. This is the state-of-the-art mall and everything else. He thinks they're holed up in security. They're not.
It's a park and ride. They're going to get on the buses.
Because even terrorists want good mileage. You know, he thinks they're at the top floor, where the security office is at the very top.
Yeah.
Turns out they're not there. It's been a misdirect because they're actually in the bottom. They've gotten off on this state-of-the-art monorail that's just being built that connects New York City on the other side, because New Jersey is just over the bridge. It's a state-of-the-art monorail to connect this super mall to the heart of New York City. They're on this rail underneath and everything else. They blow the bridge, so they're going to be in the city. Once they're in the city, it'll be impossible to track them. They'll get out any way they want. All the cops are over
Christmas
here.
Eve. They're every cop's in New Jersey.
Exactly.
And they're in the subway.
And they're going to get insane. So John McClane does the little great bit of driving through the mines. These guys don't know what's going on. You can have a cop car trying to follow him and get him blown up. He then gets to the city, and you've got a nice little bit. You could have it underneath Rockefeller Center, where you've got the ice rink, right? And it's the fundamental Christmas place in the big tree. And they pop up from Rockefeller Center, and John McClane like drives through onto the ice. You have the shootout, and the villain dies.
It's super close. We've got a minute left. I love it, but we still got like, if you imagine the amount of money as these great big bundles of cash. I think of like a Heat sort of style, but like bigger. This is like millions and millions.
Yeah, so
it's like this big.
They've loaded up this monorail that hasn't opened up.
So we talk it like it's tube underground or overground?
No, it's underground. It's 100% underground.
So it's a tube station. Right?
It's a tube station essentially, yeah. And they've loaded it all up.
I think that if it just like happens to pass by rather than it being explicitly a stop, because otherwise we'd know that.
Yeah. So they've tunneled into it at a station or something like that, or they've basically it's an old line. Or at this point here, we get is everything in place, and it's like we're almost there, and you get up here 2 guys hijack a tube and they drive it onto this old line, park it here, they drill down, and then they're just ferrying the cash into this tube to this subway, because this is an old abandoned subway line.
What if okay, I mean 12 seconds, I'm going to take a liberty here. what if this is actually the cash way of getting to like some sort of safety thing? So, you know, because you have serious amounts of money here, they don't stick it in secure core vans and things. They do it in like some thing.
They're like this big. I know what you're thinking of. We used to have them at the cinema I worked at. They're like this fucking big.
No, but like, so this is because of just the sheer amounts. It's a bigger thing, but it doesn't make sense. So some sort of passenger tube thing.
Yeah.
They're going to break through into this.
Yeah. Because you can get a nice little bit where John McClane is here and he's like, what are you assholes doing? And he's like...
We've run over, so we've got one roll of the dice of where the final thing is, or otherwise we failed this. So like, it's Christmas, we'll give ourselves like literally like...
It ends with them loading up vans at the Rockefeller Center, and the shootout happens under the ice of the Rockefeller Center in New York City, and it does that nice crane up. It's the most iconic Christmassy spot in the city.
Just do it, because as I say, it's unfair that we've run over anyway. We're breaking our own rules. All right, look, that's Die Hard 3.
Yeah,
because Die Hard with a Vengeance is called that, so
it can be called Die Hard 3. Yeah.
It's tricky.
I feel like it's there. We needed to spend a bit more time. Maybe we got a bit bogged down with the semantics of different shops. But it does add to it because each shop would bring to a unique kill. I love the mines. Maybe that doesn't work as well as we thought. But I got to say, when we sat on those seats and we started this, I would be surprised we'd get there. I thought it would be... So the fact that we have two very solid acts and perhaps not our ending tied up as neatly works. But Die Hard, Christmas,
shopping mall. All right, should we present this thing?
Yep, let's do it.
Feel comfortable? I mean, like,
I do.
Not bad.
Not bad.
All things being considered.
It's gotten there.
All right, so what we're going to do is through the magic of editing is we're going to pretend to pick this up and walk over here, and then we're going to cut, and you're not even going to notice that the things happened maybe a few minutes from each other.
Yep.
So let's flip it. Let's get this shit off here. The magic of video editing. Oh, Michael.
Oh, me.
I love that Christmas song. All right, I got it. And I'm going to walk off and we're going to cut. Whee! All right.
Okay, so
let's put this here. It is cold in here.
It is cold. It's Christmas.
Yes.
So before we present, I think it's important to say that we've done several videos now, and this is the first time we haven't been able to finish it. And we could cheat. I feel like another 20 minutes and we'd have it. But we always said with endless amount of time, it would be easy. We always said when we started this channel, we would only give ourselves an hour. It was a fun challenge. Considering the fact that I had no idea what to do with this, literally hearing your ideas spurred it. I feel like, and hopefully you do too, we have the meat. It's just the end that needs tidying up.
Yeah,
but
it's not. Yeah, just to echo Mike's point there, I don't think this is the most kind of like coherent thing. But certainly, if somebody said to us, "Okay, you've now got a month to flesh this thing out,"
exactly, it would be there. I mean, as before, it stands with all the things that we feel that are important to Die Hard. It's Christmassy. And come on, John McClane running around a shopping mall attacking terrorists, like, it writes itself. Yeah. It's just that little bit at the end that we just...
clearly doesn't.
Yeah.
He got stuck.
If we got out of its way, it would be fine.
Okay, so let's start this thing. Cue the music. Right. So Act 0.1 is it starts off with we meet John McClane driving his car across one of the most iconic bridges. Take your pick, whichever one kind of works.
There's one main bridge from New York to New Jersey. I can't remember what it's called.
Going over that, there's a little snow twinkling down, little Christmas music going on, and here is where we find out like he's getting ready for his moonlighting job, which is fitting for Bruce Willis to do some moonlighting of being mall security in some sort of big weird super mall out in New Jersey. Mm-hmm. And so as he sort of arrives there, he's kind of like maybe clocking in, and like a buddy of his is sort of like saying about the Christmas jumper stuff, and he's like, why don't you eat it?
Yeah, and then they've got the kind of like, it's been manic all day, it's only going to get worse. And it's like, you hear over the thing, guys, we've only got 3 hours, this place shuts, and you know what that means? It's going to be 3 hours of chaos. Get your heads down, let's do this.
Yeah, and maybe this is where we start to foreshadow that like that the radio stuff's no good, because like they're all been on the radios all day, and it's just like nobody's been charging them.
Yeah,
What's wrong
exactly.
with you guys?
We then start at Act 1.
Yep.
Which is John McClane doing his job in the mall, getting fed up and grumpy as per usual. There's a toy that he wanted for his kid, and he's really annoyed that the last one's been sold and everything else. He storms outside, tells someone that the thing's not working, battery's gone on the radio, so he just chucks it out, goes outside for a cigarette. Same time, we have a truck that has been hijacked. We see the driver being killed after a nice introduction from a British villain. We then see the truck outside the mall. We see John McClane at one point clocking it, doing a weird thing, and he's kind of like, whatever, carries on smoking. The truck is going round, and what we realise is planting something. We don't know what it is but it turns out to be mines. They then ram the side of the building. John hears something, but it's just kind of like, these Christmas drivers are crazy, like writes it off. They then storm in, straight through into security, which is on the same level, that ground floor, or they go down the stairs.
Some great geography of that, whatever.
Start shooting, hit the things. At this point, the emergency exits close and everyone's stuck inside their shutters.
All the shutters are closing.
Yeah. Then you have the characters outside. Hey, I'm supposed to be getting in. Like, what the hell's the big deal? It's Christmas Eve. And we then have the terrorists coming in, shooting the people that are still on the outside.
John hears this.
Yep. Tries to go round, can't find a way in, realizes the door's shut, gets to the van.
Gets to the van, sees that the van's crashed in, and like the mechanically enough been damaged to make it so that he can't just drive the thing out of the way. So he's like, right, uses his prior knowledge of the place, because obviously security guard, to kind of climb up onto like some balcony things and start going around.
While this is happening, we've got the terrorists going from store to store, opening the shutters by command on radio, getting everyone out, robbing them as they
go past, taking the cash.
Yeah, and then funneling them in. Another group taken, where they keep dumping them all in the food court in the centre of the mall, and they've got people around the outside. John lands into one of these empty shops.
So I think on the rooftop bit.
Yeah.
Did we say that he met one of his mates whilst he was going around?
Yes, so he gets through the store and he finds his friend is like hiding in that shop.
And it's just like, what are you doing? And this sort of stuff, and they're backwards and forwards. He's like, his mate's like, fuck this, I'm out of here, goes away. John then gets into, so they've dropped into the sporting goods store, is that right?
Yep.
Yes, it was sporting goods.
Yeah.
And like, has a cool fight with like a lone security guard in there. Maybe the security guard heard him land, or he did something to kind of attract the attention. The guy goes in, cool fight, and you had him killing him with ice skate.
Yeah.
I think it's a nice touch. But there could be some bits in between, sort of like hitting with different like kind of things around.
Exactly.
And that sort of stuff. Like with this going on, somebody else hears, and kind of like John escapes, and they see that they got a man down. Gets reported back to the henchman.
Yep.
And the main cool henchman guy is like, has got all the security guards all lined up, and so goes to them and is like, tell me, is there any of you not here? And they're like, they all look around and go, no, this is everybody. And he goes, okay, phones up to his mate who's in the security bit, who had been kind of like had that sort of understanding that it's been locked down, and says, how many people are on duty tonight? And they look at the like little board and they say, you got 12. And he goes, 12, okay. Looks over and says 10 of them there. And goes, can you read out those names? And starts reading out the names and looking and goes, you guys are full of shit.
Yeah.
I know I can't trust you. And so, and shoots them all.
Yeah.
Nice. Big music sting.
At which point we have also the police arriving. They go in, they hit one of these mines, their car blows up. So a perimeter outside the car park of the mall, which means they're nowhere near the main building or anything else.
And they're stuck, they dare not go in.
Yeah.
And at this point,
trying to communicate.
And like, it should be like flip phones and stuff by this point, because it's the 90s. So, like they're all using like mobile phones and shit.
Yeah, exactly, nice.
Then this is where it starts to get a little vague. We know that we've got like all these different venues where we could have fights take place in. So maybe next up, McClane goes and like there's like a fight in an electric store. We're sort of talking about a scene where using like in the 90s, they used to have cameras facing forwards and TVs next to him to sell the TV and the video camera. And so maybe he sort of like uses that so he can kind of catch clips of like a bad guy or something.
Nice.
What else were we talking about? We had said the video shop scene. Good place
we had the women's shop where he could be like following the blood into the changing rooms.
That was cool. Let's put the meat on that. So McLean's injured in like an altercation and is going off through into like the women's like clothing section or something like that, like the big women's department store, and is dragging himself off into the changing rooms to kind of patch himself up, being pursued by a terrorist who's using the blood trail to kind of get to where he's at. And then you were saying like maybe machine guns all the
doors, then looks through, he's not there, and John McClane's behind him. He's done like the old classic switcheroo.
Yeah, and so then like you got room for more fight, and that's when he gets like his hand on a better firearm or something along those lines. So that's another cool exchange.
Yeah, I kind of had something with the perfume, like imagining like there's a guys, he can't quite get to them, so he shoots all the perfume above them and it sprays, and they're like, oh, I'm blinded.
Chucks his lighter into it. And
yeah, exactly. So just having fun, a variety of different shops.
Yeah, so all these different stores which you could try out. Just some highlights. So we've covered already. They were sort of saying like, scenes in gun shops we weren't too sure about. Electric store we covered. Food shop, maybe hit someone with a gigantic salami. Whatever. There's like
big old bratwurst.
Exactly. There's lots of options there. Yeah, hit a German with a bratwurst. Makes sense.
At some point, we then reach this stage here where John McClane realises they're not where they're supposed to be. We talked about the idea of a camera watching the cameras, where we think the bad guy's been the whole time. He's not. We have this idea of them tunnelling into some sort of subway train. This is where we've lost it a bit.
So maybe this is like a normal commuter subway track which runs beneath this, and these guys have dug down into it, and that's what they're using to move the money into the
they
main city.
Filled it all up, they're going in. John McClane realises they blow the hatch here so he can't follow them. He gets out somehow, maybe smashing through a window or something like that, jumps in a car, drives through, setting off mines. Police try to follow him, a mine goes off. He then drives over the bridge, trying to radio through to be like, where is all this going? Where's the F train, all this? We then get to the outside of Rockefeller Center, where they are at a man grate unloading this and everything else. John McClane arrives, there's the big old shoot down, and it ends with John McClane killing the villain on the ice skate outside the Rockefeller Center to then have the...
Cue the music,
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Now, as we said, we didn't really have time to finish this, and I think you can feel it at the end there, but broad strokes, we're pretty much there.
100%. It also feels, as you say, it feels like it belongs in a Die Hard film. It works. It's 90s all the way through, which they were. It feels like a mixture of Home Alone meets Dawn of the Dead meets Die Hard. It's a nice combination of the 90s and just all the 90s shops, that 90s mall and everything else, which I know is a bit 80s, but
the thing is, the 90s are coming back in, and this is the time to do it. And what we forgot to say at the top of this is how it's all possible. We use deep fakery technology to make it happen.
Yeah, with Bruce Willis.
Yeah, it has to be Bruce Willis.
100%.
So
it's not fully there, but that's how we would handle Die Hard. So be interesting to think what you guys think.
Yeah, by all means, write something in the comments. Keep it clean.
But this was a hard one. I was worried about it when we were doing it. So for our next video, we decided to tackle something fairly easy. We decided to go with Terminator.
Yeah.
Because they've had a lot of success with that.
Yeah, and that is definitely going to be a case of retconning some...
100%.
But for the moment, Michael, Merry Christmas, my friend.
Merry Christmas to you too.
Have a lovely...
Yeah, and I'll see you in New Year for the robotic uprising.
I'll see you then. Yeah, maybe actual robots would have taken over by then. If Elon Musk has got anything to say with it.
But in the meantime, yippee-ki-yay.
Merry Christmas.
Trucker.
Play the music.
Bye.